Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio Station, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumble, Podchaser, Spreaker, Streaker, and more. Thank you for tuning in. This my 620 consecutive week of balancing out bad news with good news. So there's no gossip on the show, no scandal, and no K-words, no Kanye talk, formerly or now, because I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. Why not 100% of the time? If you are happy 100% of the time, you're dead. And I don't want dead people walking or talking or watching, because 88% is a pretty great state of being and a way of living that I actually practice and preach and live. And 88% of the time I follow my own advice, even though the name of my show is Take My Advice. I'm not using it. But I am so delighted. There's people in the studio already. I've got Cashew Gallery, Sci-Fi Mom B. Thank you for joining me this early on a Monday morning. And if you're driving, I know you're listening, but once you get to where you are, I would love it if you got online, free subscribe to my YouTube channel, which houses all 1,127 shows. So then you can chat in my peanut gallery, ask questions, and make remarks, and just be part of my Happy 88 tribe online. And it is Monday. So introducing the topic, it is hashtag Mental Health Matters Mondays. And what I've been doing is hitting a topic that I take a tool from my +1 best-selling book, 8 Ways to Happiness, which I give you today as an audiobook form for joining me on Mondays, to up-level your happiness in some real situation. So if any of you are single and dating and in the HD cycle, I'm calling it Dating HD, which is hope, disappointment, hope, disappointment. And I'm in that right now after 7 years of not dating and not having any relationships except with myself and with my work. So I'm living it, and I thought, that's a good topic for anyone. And there's a lot of single people right now, happily divorced people. So that's what we're going to hit today. I actually have a question from a listener watcher from my YouTube channel that has to do with dating a recently separated / divorced man. So we'll hit that one. And as usual, I will live my life out loud and talk about how I am able to find balance with that HD cycle. All right. So, but before we do that, we're going to start with adjusting my camera, and we're going to start with breakfast. Thank you for coming and having breakfast with me. It is, let's see, my Blissipline, hashtag Blissipline, to help you start your day in the most positive way with my guests, or with my Cashew Gallery with Frank in the back studio, who is manning my boards and being a fabulous studio engineer. We have breakfast together by talking about the 8 things that we're grateful for on the top of our bun, and the 8 things we appreciate on the bottom of our bun, which is an exercise to help us with our own mental health. So as I take care of my glisten, I like every other day I get on the bike for That'll be my first gratitude. I am grateful for the gym in my building that allows me to roll out of bed, hit the bike. I did 33 minutes this morning, then hit the pool. I do my laps, and then go in very quick jacuzzi to bubble out my back. And then by that time, I'm showered. And so I'm still feeling all of that enhanced, my heart rate. So if you see me dabbing, that's why. So that's my gratitude. Frank and Sci-Fi, feel free to join in, or anybody else that is listening. I see the eyeballs. So I am also grateful that there is, I get to go to San Diego this week. I will be broadcasting live tomorrow I'm here. And then Wednesday morning and Thursday morning, I'll be broadcasting live in San Diego from Dr. Greg Reed, a friend of mine who puts on this amazing conference once or twice a year called Secret Knock. And not everybody can go. It's sold out again. I think I don't know, he said how many years it's been sold out, but he has amazing speakers. And I'm going to put myself in there. He's asked me. I've spoken on his stage before a few times. And I love to go and not just support, but get the introduction and hear speakers that I wouldn't normally hear. And last year I met and interviewed Carol Baskin from Tiger Kings. And if you haven't watched that interview, I put the moose on the table right away and asked if she killed her husband. So if you haven't seen that, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, put in Dr. Marissa and Tiger King, and you'll get that interview. So I can't wait to see. It's all a secret who's down there. The first year that I was part of the whole organization, I actually got photo credit. My wonderful friend and colleague, Cheryl Snap Connor from Utah. She's fabulous PR. She wrote an article about Snowden. So I don't know if you remember Ed Snowden. He was the exiled guy. If you haven't watched that special, also a great movie, true story. I love true stories. That he is in exile for being a whistleblower in the government. And I got the photo credit in Fortune magazine for that. So that was fun. That was the first year. That was a long time ago. All right. So that's my second, third, and fourth gratitude. All those great things. Another gratitude is I'm grateful that I get to drive. I'm so excited. I actually had this weird Twilight Zone experience where I was parked in ready to go to this Asian supermarket in Huntington Beach. Thank you for that finger. Somebody just gave me the finger, not that finger, but this finger. And I love reactions, especially positive ones. So thank you for that. I am going to try, and I love doing things for the first time. I was in the parking lot and this car identical to mine pulls up beside me. And it was that weird experience. I don't know if you ever had that. Mazda Miata convertible, white with a black top. I call mine Panda. And find out that there's a club, a Miata club, and they do drives and they have reunions and once a year, all this stuff. So I'm going to try my first caravan with some Miatas on Saturday. So I'm grateful that there's a community that I didn't even know about that I belong to. I am grateful that for the compliments. I on social, I so appreciate knowing that I'm a beneficial presence on the planet. I don't do it to get that. And I don't always know, particularly who's following or who's listening or who's reading. And when people say, thank you, or I read every word you write. And anytime I'm in a not great mood, I go to your social, Doc Balance on Instagram, Dr. Marissa everywhere else, and it makes me feel better. And so I so love that appreciation, and it does feel good, even though I bake my own cake. That's icing. Criticism and compliments are just icing. So, but when I'm privy to it, I definitely am grateful for that. All right, that is the top of the bun. The bottom of the bun is now the crux or the foundation of good mental health, which I am a huge, I'm your personal assistant and advocate for. And that is the good news is we're aware now of our mental health, how we're feeling, if we're not feeling good, if we're feeling sad or sadness on steroids, depression. Um, how do we soothe that? A lot of us are tempted to soothe those feelings with outside things, to think that we can, numb ourselves away from the feeling, food, alcohol, drugs, or shopping or gambling, whatever that is. And it is my BS, my belief system, that the strongest, more sustaining way to have a good mental health is to learn how to soothe yourself without outside stuff. And how do we do that? Well, a lot of the dis-ease comes from not liking yourself. And I remember I was being interviewed by the Philippine Oprah, Karen Davila, on ABS-CBN in the Philippines with my fabulous Limitless partner, Jessica Cox. And I made the statement that people hate themselves. And she said, "Isn't that a strong statement?" And I said, "Yes, but if you think about how many people say, I'm my own worst enemy. I'm the most critical of myself. Nobody's harder on myself than me." Every time I'm on stage as a motivational speaker, if I ask those questions, almost all the hands, if not all the hands, go up. So that is a symptom of not liking ourselves. And if we don't soothe that and put the critic in its place, not kill it, but just put in the passenger seat, it will drive you, off of the life cliff. So liking yourself versus loathing yourself and appreciating yourself instead of hating yourself is a foundation tool. So that's why we do the bottom of the bottom. What do you like about yourself? And since this is Mental Health Matter Mondays, I'm going to go a little further than I usually do with that, which is if you grow up as one of the 7 out of 10 of us who've had childhood trauma, that voice is even stronger because you have embraced someone else's well-meaning, but more mean than well, criticism of you. So y'all know, if you've been listening for any amount of time, I grew up with the voice from a well-meaning mom, negative motivation, Chinese culture on top of her own, mental health diagnosis, called me fat, ugly, and clumsy. And I embraced that as who I was. And I didn't do anything wrong as a child to get that. But, and that was never, was not my fault. But I did not take the responsibility to process all of that. And I drug all of that baggage into my present and spewed it onto my future. That is my responsibility. So that's why we address Mental Health Monday Matters. That's why I wrote this book, and not as a psychologist telling you how to be happy, but as one of the 7 out of 10 of us, which is the majority, who somehow erroneously thinks that there's something wrong with us, that we'll never catch up, that there's, we need to be fixed. That is bullshit-talky. Pain in life is mandatory. Suffering from it is optional. So that is why being able to appreciate and adjust the way you see yourself is tantamount to good mental health. All right. So what do I like about myself? I love my ability to have no fear of embarrassment when I step out. A friend of mine, Ranella, commented on one of my posts because she dragged me to my first natural products expo, and I passed a piano. I love grand pianos, and it had a sign that said, "Please play me." So I just sat down and started playing and singing. one of my original songs, and she was like, "Whoa, you really will. You're not afraid." I appreciate that about myself. It doesn't mean that I'm not a little bit, I'll second, and then it's like the African American saying, when there is no enemy inside, then no one outside can hurt you. And I resemble that. So I know that I am a little audacious, a little outrageous, a little no fear, a lot no fear. That's my middle name. I am making up for 17 years of being small, because that was the only way to survive in my home. And I'm not small, and my personality is that which is, I'm natural staged. I can remember I was going to say ophthalmologist, astrologist who came on my show and told me from my charts that I'm the Leo in 5 planets, which means I just can't help myself. I have to be on stage, on camera, in front. It's what I do naturally. So the weight of 8,000 pounds of shame for being an Asian woman who isn't quiet, who does get on stage, who does talk, 88% of the time, that's a good thing. 12% of the time, I should probably pay attention to the context, and I don't. So sometimes I step in it, but 88% of the time, that quality is part of who I am. And so no amount of parental shame or ancestral heritage shame. Asian women are not supposed to be like me. So all of that, I appreciate my ability to transcend both my mom's message to me and society's message to me and the cultural message to me. So that was a big one. And I think that's enough to get you to practice this when you are going to bed tonight. So instead of saying, I'm not good enough, or I did something stupid, or I said something stupid, or I should have done that, or I can't believe they dissed me. I can't believe that they were talking behind my back. All those things, if you, and then this on top of it, right? If you're doing MS scrolling, meaningless scrolling, you're going to have problems falling asleep. No wonder you can't sleep. So if you replaced all that with, I appreciate that I am caring 88% of the time, loving 88% of the time, imperfectly perfect, one of a kind, wonderful, unique, and not a throwback, and really doing the best that I can with the time that I have and the resources I have, you're going to get a good night's sleep. So try that instead of taking whatever you're taking to go to sleep. All right. And that's it. Thank you for having breakfast with me and taking a bite of my gratitude sandwich. I promise that if you do this Blisscipline or Good Life habit for the next 28 days with me on the show or without, you will sandwich your day in the most positive way. All righty. Now to the topic. How do you remain balanced? How do you monitor your own mental health while you're dating because of all the hope, the HD dating, hope, disappointment, hope, disappointment, hope, disappointment, and rejection. Rejection is something that I don't know anybody that says, oh, please reject me. And sometimes the fear of rejection is so great, you don't ever put yourself out there, which is kind of throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. If you have any questions or any comments about that, please do put them in the chat, and I will just roll along with whatever I'm inspired by my UPS man to say, my universal power source. and certainly just my own experience, as well as a happiness coach, what I use to help people who are getting back out there. So if you are dating, first of all, good for you. And it is not an easy thing to do because you are putting yourself out there. I will give the commercial for having a relationship that for 7 years I did not listen to myself. I'll be the first to admit that I had talked myself into a place where I didn't think that I needed a relationship to be happy. And I really don't, in the sense that I am happy 88% of the time. I love my work. I love my friends and family. I love my life exactly how it is. But when I was in Australia and the book sold out and I had some time on my hands, I began to notice that there is this really different kind of love, really different kind of energy that comes when you are with someone special. And whether I like when people say this is my person. I don't like it when people say, they complete me, or, they're my soulmate or my twin flame, because it implies that there's only one person that you can fall in love with in 8 billion people around the planet. Come on, please. And then if your soulmate dies, what are you're not going to have anyone? That is ridiculous to me. So I like that person, or as I call it, my new chapter in my book of romance. So that is what I am writing right now, my next chapter. And in order to do so, I have been swiper, no swiping, Dora the Explorer every time I'm swiping. And I am on 2 apps. Those of you who've already seen me, I have had a couple of messages, and I didn't swipe on you because I know you. Left for no thank you, and right, I have found that I have really a lot of lefts instead of rights, and partially because I know that when you say Christian conservative, you are most likely supporting a politician that I'm not crazy about. So I don't want to argue when we are getting to know each other about politics. So that's usually one of my first filters. Second filter is I do like men who are, bigger than me. So my own issues around body size that Elan yelled at me for. But I do know that that's something that I know about myself. I do also want someone who's had similar educational experiences as me. And I want someone who is not like in Northern California because it's too far. So I want to be able to grab a coffee when I can. And with my schedule, closer is better than further. So those things really eliminate a lot. And then I do also kind of have an eye like a guy. I am stimulated by my eyes more than my ears, as Dr. Pat, my past guest, will say. And so looks are, you don't have to be, model gorgeous, but there's something about the way someone looks that is attractive, that is personal, it's subjective. So as a result, it's not often that I get to swipe right. And when it matches, I am like, yay. And although there's different kinds of matching, and see if you can relate to this. Sometimes I'll match and I'll be like, yay, because on paper, they have all the things and I can't wait to converse with them. And then 24 hours go by and there's no response. And so that's what I call HD, right? Hope and then disappointment. Or hope it's possible. And then I ask them for a video chat and they say no, disappointment. Because I will not meet without first seeing someone, because pictures don't, what is it? A picture is worth 1,000 words, but it is not the key to chemistry. I'm sorry, but pictures, anybody can take one good picture, and people don't look like their pictures. I can't believe I have to scroll all the way to the bottom because the first picture is usually like 30 years ago. And then at the bottom is when I get the real deal. So that's often, when you do meet them, super nice people, no chemistry on camera, then that's also a swiper left or an unmatch. So hope, disappointment, hopeless. So I have several times now gone out. I've had 5 physical dates. And that's the other thing. Hope, right, before the date. And then you talk, you get to know them. And, they didn't tell me that they were separated, not fully divorced. That's another one of my red flags. And that I'm going to go to the question that was given to me on YouTube about should I date someone who is recently divorced or separated? But that again, there's hope going on the date, and then there's disappointment when you find out something that was not a red flag, but a deal breaker. After how many dates can you go on when you're like on this emotional roller coaster of hope, HD, hope, disappointment, hope, disappointment. So how do you stay balanced? Well, the first thing is have fun with this. I mean, I'm very proud of myself this time dating that I am going in with, I'm exploring, I'm meeting people, I'm trying different things around trying not to be, future tripping. If they are someone that I'm attracted to, not, going to that end of the line, you're going to be together forever. That I know that I have a book of romance with some short chapters and some long chapters, and practicing what I teach my kids, which is you're either going to be with them for a short chapter to isolate and articulate and extrapolate things that you like and things that you don't like about people in relationships, in a romantic relationship. And also, you're going to learn something about yourself. So if someone triggers me with something that they say, I'll give you a great example of what I've learned. Don't laugh. Well, you can laugh. So in my profile, it says, I like alpha men. And if that's really true, well, I've been dating alpha men. And what I have noticed is that if I really want to date an alpha man, I have to keep my mouth shut a lot more than I'm used to. So people have accused me of self-promotion, and now I don't get mad. And I say, thank you very much. That's a compliment, because, you can be good at something, but if you can't communicate it, then, it's a waste of talent in a sense. So communication and being able to not say that you're all that, but communicate what you're good at is a skill. And so I take that as a compliment. However, if you're dating and you want an alpha man, then I have had to not say, like they'll mention something about whatever, architecture, or, anything that I've done or I've had experience with or I've, something about, and I don't say it because I would then dominate the conversation. And if I want an alpha man, I cannot dominate the conversation. I have to not be the bushel, but there's a balance, right? I have to learn how to let someone take the lead. So as a result of that, I am experimenting with my BS, my belief system, that I actually want an alpha male. So if I don't want an alpha male, and Dr. John Gray, who's been a guest on my show several times, Dr. Pat Allen has been a guest on my show many times, have said to me that my only option, or the contrary to being with an alpha man, is being with some younger, attractive, not as experienced guy who puts me on that pedestal, and I'm the one in control, and I'm the one that calls the shots, and they have that non-alpha role. And I don't know if I want to do that. First of all, no part of the word cougar is attractive to me. That's the last thing I want. Not that I care so much about what others think. It's just how I feel. If I'm out with a much younger guy, which my last relationship was with a guy who was 17 years younger than me and 17 years older than my daughter. And she pointed that out to me. And we had a good relationship, almost a year, 9 months. And then it was like, I just don't want to be seen as the older woman. That's just my preference. If it works for you, great. But for me, it doesn't work for me. So I am learning about who I am in sense of that power role, control role. Is that really who I am? Because I say I want to, I'm a mover and a shaker on the outside in my work, and have to take leadership roles as a consultant, have to take very visible roles in what I do as a media personality and all of that stuff. But at home, I want to be like soft and not in control and all of that. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if you can be a different person at home. I hope so, because I do say that I'm like soft and not pudgy, but hopefully not pudgy. I'm working on that at home. So that's something I'm learning. So if you are dating, one way to take the HD out of the equation is to decide that this whole dating experience is not about finding your person, but just experimenting, not even experimenting. That could sound the wrong way. But it's an exploration of who you are and what you do. And partially I'm saying this too to my sound engineer who doesn't get out much. I'm calling you on that it's a good way to go to the school of relationships is to date. All right. See if that's a good enough commercial, because you cannot get that kind of feeling, the butterflies, the sweetness, the soft place to land, the that warm feeling you get when you are with someone who kind of knows you in good, bad, and ugly, and still chooses to be with you, and vice versa. You can't get that from your family. They have to put up with you. You can't get that with your friends. It's just friendship's a whole nother, feeling. It's close, but it's not the same. And you can't get it from your parents. You can't get it from your kids. So that's my commercial for having a relationship and not getting so wadded up in your underpants around the HD, hope, disappointment, and getting to the point of saying, fine, I'm not doing this anymore. Have I been in that point I started dating, I got back January the 18th, I think was the first day I decided I was going to really do this. So January, February, March, 2 months. So it feels like a year, but 2 months. I've had 5 dates, 2 video chats. And last week I was like, this is such a waste of my time. I don't want to do this anymore. And I reminded myself, I gave myself the same pep talk I'm giving to you. So now I'm readjusted and I'm balanced. It's like another activity. See it as a sport or a hobby. Dating is my new hobby. I like it. Dating is my new hobby. Right? All right. It's just like putting on clothes, like Goldilocks, right? You're trying different stuff on, trying different clothes on, trying different guys on. Again, don't go there. Okay, so let me get to first do a station ID. If you're wondering what's going on in the studio today, it is Take my advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News Radio, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and my YouTube channel, where if you free subscribe, you get an alert every weekday morning and get to see on Monday, which is today, Mental Health Matters Mondays. All right. And we're talking about maintaining balance while dating and jumping off the HD platform. Hope, disappointment, hope, disappointment, hope, disappointment. All right. I'm going to get to the question that was asked of me on YouTube. The question is, I have been dating a man who's recently divorced. Here, let me read it exactly. Let's see, where did I put that? It is here. Nope. All right, here we go. How to deal with a recently divorced man. He's not ready to date, still misses his ex. We got close physically, but not all the way. Is there any hope? Shall I go back to being just platonic? And this is from Shalimar 29. All right. So my advice would be to first ask yourself, would you be able to handle the emotion of being with someone who isn't fully capable at this point to love you for who you are? And this is the part where if you can take it not personally, right? If you can know that the chances are he still misses his ex, you're going to have to hear about it. You're going to have to, be there to comfort him, be there to be his shoulder to cry on. And in all of those ways, I don't know about you, I couldn't do it, because every time he would say, I miss her and then cry, I'm like going to be stabbed in my heart. Like, I'm not good enough to get you to forget her. I'm not good enough to make you, want me more. I'm not attractive enough for you to not think of her and miss her so much. And I could not take that personally. So, but if you can, and you're going to, you think he's worth just hanging around, that one day he's going to wake up and turn and go, oh, you've been there, all my life, or you've been there waiting, and I love you for that. And thank you for, staying with me and nursing me back to wholeness. And now I choose you. And, no, this is not a rebound. I really do love you. And again, I'm human. I don't know if I would believe that even if he said that. So if you're anything like me and you're having any of those feelings, then my recommendation would be stay friends. When he tries to reach for you physically, say thank you. In a year from now, if you really feel that same way as you do now, then let's do it. But for now, I love myself enough to know that I want someone to want me without having to, one, compare me with their ex or still be thinking about their ex. And it's a complicated time. I remember when I was separated, it was, the first time I was separated, we ended up, creating my second child because we were trying to make it work. And so when someone is recently divorced or recently separated, that's why my rule is I will not date anyone who is separated and recently divorced within the year, because I know from experience that is not a very stable time. So that would be my recommendation for you, unless you, again, like I said, really believe that this is worth staying to, and you can not go to MSU University making shiitake up when you're, not reading into his talk about his ex. It is really damaging, I think, too, to fill a new relationship with a lot of talk about the ex. And this is where I fall down, because it was not a great experience for the most part. The best thing that came out was my children. And as much as possible, I just talk about my daughters without talking about the whole experience. But almost inevitably, it comes out. And every time I, could shoot myself. So that's another dating advice that I need to take more, is to not ask about exes and not share about exes, to give yourself the best foot forward when you're dating. Okay, so let's see. I don't think there are any questions. Sci-Fi Mombi, I don't know if you are currently with somebody or dating. I know that Maria sometimes will share. I think she's working today, but yeah. So let's see. What other tips? Oh, the one I put on my social. I was interviewed at KUSI down in San Diego about relationships. This was in Valentine's season. And the one point that I brought up in dating is be really clear about what you know about yourself and therefore what you match with. So matching is my favorite word to use during dating, because it's not like, oh, that was a red flag, or, oh, he's a bad word. Oh, what a jerk. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And all the ways in which we dismiss people, ghost people, drop people, and blame people for being who they are. And the onus sometimes is on us, because we, and when I say we, this is a gender difference. Hope springs eternal it's a human condition. As well, though, I think there is a gender difference here because of my experience coaching women who are in relationships. They tell me that they're just hoping that one day they will be very different than they are, and they stay. And I stayed way too long hoping that things would change. So I'm guilty of it too. I am representative of a group difference. I think that women on the whole are more hopeful, not saying men are not hopeful, but we do have a tendency to hold on hoping that things will change. And that is also a coping mechanism for kids who have had childhood trauma. Hope is a coping device, because you're hoping that it's going to be different. That's why you keep taking whatever the abuse is, because you're hoping that one day they won't feel that way or say that or do that or think that. So you can get out of that situation by being really clear about what you want. And one of my past guests, who's a friend as well, an amazing man who wrote the 4 Agreements. If you haven't read that, it's one of my life fundamental books. He has another book called The Mastery of Love. And I love that book as well. I get a lot of my relationship and romance advice from there for myself. One is, if you want a dog, don't buy a cat. Let me say that again. If you want a dog, don't buy a cat. So, Sci-Fi Mommy, I just noticed something. I'm separated talking with someone. So you are separated. Okay, so you're great. You're right in that situation that I was just talking about. Did that resonate with you at all? You're on the other side of it. Did you resent the advice that I gave to the person who's dating you? But you maybe not talking about your ex. So I'll let you fill that detail in. But I will finish off what I was saying about cats and dogs. So often you already know what you like to do. You enjoy movies, you enjoy traveling, you enjoy healthy eating, you are a night owl, you love trying new foods, okay? And it's amazing to me. If you know that about yourself, why would you pick someone who is a strict steak and potatoes guy who really just wants to do the same thing every Friday night? We'll go out to dinner. Saturday night, we'll go to, Saturday night, we stay home. Don't like theaters, don't like events, don't like traveling. I mean, why would you pick someone to try to have a relationship when, you have very clear mismatches in things you like to do? Well, I can do that with my other friends and they can do that with their. Yeah, but then most of the time you're spending apart, right? So if you want a cat, or sorry, I'm allergic to cats, so it's easy for me not to want a cat. If you want a dog, and you're a dog, then find a dog. Don't find a cat and try to make them into a dog. There's my best relationship advice for not having a mismatch. So that's on you. If you are attracting people who are not good for you, that's on you. If you are attracting people who are like you, then that's good. And then you can go from that place of matching on a lot of things. Same with politics and religion. I don't like talking about politics, but I will ask someone if, who they're going to vote for, because it's not easy to have a harmonious relationship to start with. In my mind, I mean, it's 88% is the best you can do. You're never going to jive 100%. You're going to have disagreements. Why would you introduce something as volatile as politics or religion as something you totally mismatch on? Like, to me, that's not very smart. All right. So that's what I mean by, if you date someone, like I went on a dinner date with someone who, after a good date said, I have to go home. I have to be in bed by 9:30. I don't go to bed until midnight. Again, another mismatch that we both knew. And then he said, what time do I get up at 6 though? That's why I go to bed early. And he said, what time do you get up? I said 6. So another mismatch around energy level or whatever that is. But he's not bad. He's a lovely man, just not a match for me. We're like this. So dating is about finding whether you're a match or a mismatch. And the only way to find out is by first knowing what you like and don't like, and then not picking a cat that isn't like your dog, and then going on the date to explore further whether there's continuous matching or not. That's my formula. Okay? All right. Let's see. So Sci-Fi Mombi is separated, talking with someone, and I asked if the advice that I just gave to the woman on my YouTube channel asked me the question, which the show is based on: should I be dating someone who is separated or recently divorced? And thank you, Sci-Fi. No, it is really good advice. I can get stuck in the negative talk about my ex. Okay, great. Thank you for being honest and vulnerable about your situation. And again, I'm going to challenge you to not talk negative about your ex, because one, it doesn't feel good. Two, it's going to be a turn off for your dates. Three is, and honestly, I think this is one of the formulas or equations for world peace. What would life be like? What would the world be like if all of us who had a relationship that didn't work out for a lifetime could just say, when someone said, what happened? I thought you were happily married. instead of, well, da da da, and have that he did this, she did this, and I can't believe da da da, and go through that litany of righteously indignant things that were done to you. And trust me, I have a whole list that are documented, some by the police, of things that were done to me by my husband. But in the telling of it, it never feels good. Blaming him for the demise of our relationship is not the truth, because, like they say, it takes two to tango. And on top of that, what I've learned in the last 15 years from the law of attraction is that we attract mates into our lives, and bosses and friends, who reflect where we are energetically. So if I am in a place of where I was, so this is the easiest way to do this. I was in a place, I was still the damaged little kid. I was still angry at my abuser from my childhood. I was still very insecure about how I looked and didn't see myself as attractive because of being called fat and ugly. I was in this very low energy vibrating place. So surprise, surprise, I attracted a man who introduced me as obese behind my back, who did not want to have sex with me because he wasn't attracted to my body, and used it as a power tool too, because he knew that's what I wanted from him. I attracted a man who didn't like to work, because the way that I got my sense of worth was by achieving and making the money and all of that. So I brought him in. And when I could own that, then I know now where I am. I'm not going to attract that if I watch the patterns, if I am in a good place, when I am swiping, when I am dating. So the person that you were with that chapter in life, I would recommend that you focus solely on those things that were additive to you, whether it's the two kids that I got, my beautiful daughters. I couldn't have them with anyone else. I also appreciate the way he was, because it allowed me to grow up and drop that emotional baggage that I grew up with, using the added experience of his treatment of me. So I would challenge that for you, Sci-Fi Mombi, with love and caring, because I want you to be happy. I don't want you to be stuck hating. It's not our natural state. We block ourselves from any creative energy that comes from a friendly universe when we're hating, especially when we're righteously indignant. Okay, and that's it. If you would like, my Asian Oprah giveaway today is an audiobook copy of my #1 bestseller, 8 Ways to Happiness, from wherever you are. Go to my website, drmarissa.life. drmarissa.life. Fill it in, and I'll know if you do that today that you're getting a promo code for a free audiobook copy of this book. All righty. Any other questions? I think I have 1 minute left, or 2 minutes left. Another extra giveaway. If you are in Southern California at the end of this month, Wayne Newton, one of the top 3 performers with Elvis and Frank Sinatra. He's on that list. He's been doing this for 60 years, and I get to go live to see him on Friday, March 28th. If you want a free ticket, go to my website for that. All right. Another Asian Oprah giveaway. Keep it tuned here tomorrow. The sister of Barbra Streisand, Rosalind Carter, is my guest, and I'm excited to have her here to share her life story with you. And so keep it tuned here to take my advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, the station that leaves no listener behind, home to the Asian Oprah. And now it's all about balance. Peace in, peace out. world peace through inner peace. Now go and have the best day ever. We'll see you tomorrow.